How did you get involved with football as a kid?
I had older brothers, and those guys played football. And I was just young. I just picked it up. I just loved playing it. Would go in the backyard and just kind of throw the ball to myself, just imagining playing on a bigger stage, whether it was a high school championship or playing in the NFL. So basically, that's how I picked it up, just kind of from my brothers because they were older and they were really good athletes, and I just picked it up. But I didn't really play organized football until I got into the ninth grade. But I love football. Um, I can't remember not loving football.
Heck yeah, man. I love it too. So,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
with the game itself and other sports, who are your sports role models?
Wow, I really looked up to my brothers, to be honest with you. There were guys on TV, of course. I love Dr. J, Drew Pearson, the Dallas Cowboys. I was a big Dallas Cowboy fan, so I love Drew Pearson. I love the wide receiver spot. I didn't grow up. I didn't end up being a wide receiver, but I really love that. I always loved that position. So those are just a few guys that I really enjoyed as a kid, but as I got older, there were other role models that I looked up to, guys like Jeff Davis, Michael D. Perry, and then you go into the pros, guys like the Mighty Dawson, Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, Rod Wilson, Carnell Lake. Those were the guys that were my role models throughout my journey.
Heck yeah, man. So, how did growing up in South Carolina affect your choice of going to Clemson? And what other opportunities did you have on the table before choosing Clemson?
Well, I really didn't have a lot of opportunities. Uh, Clemson was definitely one of them, and South Carolina was one. And then after I committed to Clemson, South Carolina State came aboard, and Appalachian State offered me scholarships as well. So, uh, you know, sometimes I would say I wasn't highly recruited, but from my era, I mean, I was recruited pretty good. So, yeah, I just, I really didn't grow up a Clemson or South Carolina fan. If you live in South Carolina, you're either Clemson or South, you're either Clemson or you're a University of South Carolina fan. I like both teams, and when those both teams came coming, I really considered one or the other. But once I visited Clemson, it was pretty much over with for me. I knew that was the place that I wanted to go. So that was it. They just had a good relationship with the recruiter, Miles Aldridge. I thought he was a straight shooter. I thought he was telling me honestly what he thought and what could possibly happen. So I went with those guys.
Definitely, man. So, with Clemson, how did that college prepare you for the next level, the NFL?
Well, Danny Ford and his coaching staff, I mean, it was a tough football team. It was a reflection of Danny Ford and just the way that he approached the game. We were a physical bunch. We didn't take anything from anybody, and we worked hard. So those were some of the things I took. Just that mindset, just that confidence that if I outfight you, if I outwork you, I'm going to win the game. So that's what I took away from Coach Ford and his staff at Clemson University.
Definitely, man. So, scrolling it forward for you,
Hmm.
the NFL, year one, starting 0 games your rookie year to
Right.
13 in year two for the Steelers. How motivated were you in that year two to prove yourself and get on the
Uh,
field and produce?
well, I was very motivated. The thing that happened to me was as I switched positions once I got into the NFL. I started playing the inside backer position. I played outside backer at Clemson all 4 years. So the first year was an adjustment year for me. And I had to really get accustomed to the inside linebacker position because it's different than outside. And it's a little bit more, you got a little bit more coming at you. You kind of have to watch your peripheral vision. You have to you're very involved in as far as the coverage is concerned. So it took me a little while to get it. But once I got it, I was just like, you know what, man, I'm not a bench player. And I knew that in your first 3 years, you have to do something in the NFL. You have to prove yourself, which I believe. And so I was determined to be the starter my second year. And it worked out for me. David Little was a guy that, I really looked up to as well. But I beat him out for that position and ended up being the guy for the next 9 years.
Definitely, man. So your different stops in the NFL, which was 3 of them, how did you sustain the wear and tear on your body for that long? 150 games, 55 games?
Sometimes you're just fortunate. People say they work out, they work hard, but in a game like football, man, just one little incident and you're done. No matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you prepare, it doesn't, injuries can happen to anybody. So I would have to say, besides the hard work and keeping strong, I was just very fortunate and very blessed by God to sustain that. And really, that's it. Anybody ever tells you anything different, if anybody ever tells you that they work extremely hard and that's the reason why they never got injured, they're fooling themselves. You're injury free just by being fortunate, and that's what it was for me, just being blessed. My father must have really prayed hard for me because
For sure, man.
Because it's a game that you can get hurt at any time. So that's the only explanation that I have for the reason that I stayed, on the field for as long as I did. But also, you have to do your due diligence as well. So it's a combination of both.
Definitely. So life after football for you, Mr. Kirkland, how have you applied the trials and tribulations of the game to your personal life?
Well, there's been a lot of things that have happened to me personally. I had a wife that died that was, really young. She had a battle with lung cancer. She died at the age of 41. Before that, my father passed away. My mother passed away a year after. So there's a lot of transition, not just from the game of football, but also life in general, just having all those things happen and losing a wife. And now you have a young kid, a girl that you're trying to raise. Then you're trying to really find yourself. I did some coaching as far as the college, high school, and professional level. And I thought that was a path that I was going to go on, coaching. But I realized that I wanted to do my own kind of coaching, and that's helping student athletes, especially at a very young age, like middle school, to transform themselves into student athletes. So I think when you're coaching a team sometimes, or you're trying to coach on the highest level, there's limitations as far as, your network is going or whatever. You can get fired at any time. It's a tough gig. And like I said, I had not a small child, but I had a child at the time being single. It's tough to coach. In my opinion, it's really tough to coach that way on a higher level. So I had to really kind of find myself again. You transition from being a player. I've worked in administration with Clemson University, did that for a while. Probably could have done that forever. And then I went on my own, started coaching high school football and became a head coach, and then became a college coach, and then pro coach for a little bit. And then after that was over with, I kind of decided that I didn't know if I wanted to get back into that kind of coaching, but I wanted to coach and I wanted to give advice. You know, I wanted to give my knowledge and experience. So that's what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's been a tough road. It really has been, but I'm still here. As long
Hey,
as I'm still here
blessings.
standing. Yeah,
Blessings from above, man.
yeah. So you have to kind of, you know, I think what football really teaches is resilience. It teaches you how to fall, how to take a fall, and how to get back up. And that's one of the most important lessons that I've learned from football. Besides being able to work with diverse people and being able to go after a goal, I think falling down or getting knocked down and getting back up was probably one of the key things that I took from the game of football.
For sure. So my next question, Levon,
Mm-hmm.
is brought to you by B&D Sports Media.
Okay.
What are the chances Russell Wilson ends up in a Steelers uniform next year?
Wow, you know, you never know, to be honest with you, but that would be a good pickup. Anytime you can get a professional like Russell Wilson and add him to your team, especially with the culture that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, yeah, it's a big, big, big get. But the thing is, though, with him, you got to wonder if Sierra is going to settle in Pittsburgh, which is a big question mark there. So it would be nice football-wise. It would be a really good move in a lot of ways. I think especially until you get another college franchise guy, you know, a guy like Russell Wilson can definitely help you get to a higher level. So it would be a great pickup for the Steelers, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Definitely. If they did, they'd have to at least give up probably a couple first rounders to Seattle and probably a second.
Well, you know, now that's kind of the strategy of a lot of teams that are aggressive in free agency. They're just like, you know what? Do we get a proven winner, a proven guy who can immediately help us, or do we continue to do the old model, which is going through the draft? You know, so I guess it all really depends on the philosophy of the team. But if you look at the Rams and what they did and how aggressive they were to win right now, then I think it is a model that you may follow where you get veteran guys who can help you in some key spaces right now. And you don't really worry about a draft pick that really may pan out or may not pan out. So it depends on the corporation. It depends on the program.
Definitely. So, Levon Kirkland, I'll leave you on this. Where can my audience find you on social media? And when is the Clemson golf tournament with you and Wayne Buckingham?
I imagine that tournament is probably late year, which has been for the last couple of years. So, I mean, if you want to follow me on, you know, Twitter or whatever like that, you know, I really never remember my Twitter handle. So that's kind of funny, right? I should know that. But I think it's Levon Kirkland _44 or Levon _Kirkland Twitter. If you want to find me on Facebook or Instagram, just simply look up Levon Kirkland and I'm up there. So that's how people can follow me. And then plus I'm with the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. So if you want to get in contact with me in that way, you definitely can. So there are several ways that you can get in contact with me. I'm very accessible. I feel like I'm very friendly toward the fans. You know, I'm still in awe and in shock that people still remember and that they remember my career. I'm not a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but I guess where I went, I kind of left an impact. So it's still good that fans still recognize and remember me. So I'm very blessed with that and very humble.
Blessings. Well, Levon Kirkland, it's been a blessing to have you on Sports Talk and the Success Table. and we'd welcome you back for another one, my friend.